Hey guys, and welcome back to my podcast. Yes, my name is Ruth, and you're on to Learn English with Ruth podcast, where I basically teach and help you to improve on your English pronunciation, grammar, and vocabulary. So, in episode 11 of this podcast, I talked about why you should care about your tone, and that is in relation to having a diplomatic communication or enhancing your diplomatic communication. Now, someone is being diplomatic when they strive to communicate well, be understanding, and find solutions that work for everyone. So in general, a diplomatic tone simply means a softer tone which sounds professional, polite, and understanding, and also creates a good impression, and I think this is most important, and encourages action to be taken. So using a diplomatic tone in business is important if you want to get results and if you hope to achieve any type of communication. Now, I've heard stories of people who worked in really bad business settings where communication was so rough, communication was so bad, and if something went wrong, everyone flies off the handle, especially those who are at the top. So that is a very, very bad thing to happen, and it can make the working environment so negative, and there'll be a whole lot of negative vibes around. So it's really important for you to have and hone your diplomacy. It's really important for you to have a diplomatic tone and hone your diplomacy. To hone your diplomacy means to improve on your diplomacy. Now, last week we talked about 3 reasons to care about your tone, and I said the reason why you should care about your tone is, first, so that you sound cautious and diplomatic, so that you sound courteous, so that you sound courteous and diplomatic, and you sound more positive than negative when delivering a message, and also that you learn to make the problem seem less serious. Now, what a diplomatic tone is not is trying to make it seem like there is no problem at all. No, that's not what it is. It just simply means that as problems come up, you're able to handle it, you're able to communicate it to people working under your employees, you're able to make people look away from the problem and look more onto the solution. Now, at this junction, I'd like to bring a story, that it was very funny to me. It happened to me, actually. So a few years ago, I was living with someone, and, when you're living with people, you just have to learn to communicate. And I always got pissed off with this particular fellow who was living with me, because each time we had a problem, she'd just state the problem and leave it at that. Let me explain. For example, if our electricity is out, she'd just say, "Oh, our electricity is out," and stop there. And I'm like, okay, and what I was expecting was for her to say, "Your electricity is out. We need to get electricity." But in her mind, she was like, that is obvious. Like, I just have to state the problem and then you see the solution. And I was like, I don't really work like that, because the more you say the problem, the more I'll see the problem. So when she said something, okay, our electricity is out, I was like, okay, you should say it like this: our electricity is out, but we need to get electricity, or we need to buy electricity, or something. So instead of just focusing only on the problem, I made it a point of duty to also show her that you focus on you don't focus on the problem, I made it a duty to show her you focus more on the solution than the problem. So that's all, about making the problem seem less serious. So today, let's just dive into 5 ways to use a diplomatic tone for your business communication, to have a better communication in your business. Now, the first thing you can do is to use modal verbs. Now, modal verbs are special verbs that are used with other verbs to express ability. For example, the verb could, to offer, the verb would, and to make a request, that is the verb may. Now, you can use the modal verbs could, would, may to your advantage when softening your tone. Now, they are especially useful when you're asking or making requests. For example, you can say, could you get me the report ready by Monday? Let me take that again. You can say, could you please get this report ready by Monday? So this is a request. So you can say this instead of saying, can you please get this report ready by Monday? So the two are stating a request, an instruction even, but could makes it softer, more polite than saying, can you get me the report ready by Monday? And I'm like, yes, I can do, Serge. Okay. Another example is, you can say, would you like to be on our team? Instead of saying, do you want to be on our team? Now, these differences are really little, but the little things can make the whole difference in the world. Now, another example is, may I use the conference room tomorrow? Or may I use the phone tomorrow? Or may I take you to dinner? I'm kidding with that one. But instead of saying, can I use the conference room tomorrow? You can say, may I? So using could I, would I, or may I make your tone sound softer and more polite and definitely more diplomatic. Number 2. The passive voice. Now, in English, sentences can either be active or passive. Active voice is a sentence where the subject performs the action specified by the verb, while passive voice is a sentence where the subject has the action performed on it. Let's use these examples. With my active voice, I'm going to read the sentence. Let's go. The project manager, which is the subject, signed off these reports yesterday. So this is active. Now, if I wanted to change it to passive voice, I would say, the reports were signed off yesterday by the manager. So the reports become the subject, right? Now, in the passive voice, you may leave out the subject if you think it's not necessary and, to emphasize. And for this reason, the passive voice is often used to soften the tone, because when you use the active voice, sometimes it sounds like you're blaming someone for something or giving them the responsibility for something. So instead of saying the project manager signed off the reports, you can just say the reports were signed off yesterday. Maybe totally leave out the subject, that is the person, so that you don't apportion blames, because the blame game is no good game. Okay, so number 3 is the choice of words. Now, your choice of words is very important in communication, especially in writing. So to be diplomatic, you need to choose your words carefully. Now, very strong words or words with negative connotation or implied meanings may sound impolite and undiplomatic, or make a situation appear worse than it really is. So it would be best to avoid using words like failure, trouble, mess, and lazy, and all kind of very negative words. So you replace them with words that are more positive and that will soften the effects of your message and even make the problem less than it is. Now, the reason why it's important to make the problem less than it is because you want to focus on the solution here, right? So not the problem. Challenges in the workplace, challenges in your business will come up. It's not a curse. It's something that will happen. As far as you're doing business, as far as you are in communication with people or working with people, challenges will always come up. But what you have to do is ensure that in your communication, you seek to find solutions and not just apportion blames or just make the problem bigger. There's some people who have a skill for making situations or problem look very big, and I don't like being around such people. They just make things look very big, make a mountain out of a molehill, they say. Please don't be that person. So for this choice of words, instead of saying last year's project was a failure, you can say last year's project was not a success. So instead of saying failure, you can say not a success. Number 2, another example is, instead of saying this software is useless, I want it fixed as soon as possible, you should say the software is not working properly. I know you're very busy and may not have tested it fully. I hope you can find the time to fix it as soon as possible. Oh my God, just imagine that was told you. I think it's just have a better effect on you than just saying, hey, it's easy, let's just go fix it, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Okay, so now in situations where an apology is needed, you might use words like sorry or apologize, and you can also use you can use an apology word to show that you understand another person's problems and that you care about their feelings. So instead of saying it is impossible for us to give you a refund for this item, you can say, I'm sorry, we are unable to give you a refund for this item. So it sounds softer, you're passing across the information, but you're not emphasizing the problem and making it, seem like the whole world is on your head. Okay, so the next one is to rephrase. Now, rephrasing. Achieving a more diplomatic tone can sometimes be as simple as rephrasing or rewording your message. Now, you can do this by focusing less on the problem and more on the positive actions that can be taken to solve the problem. So instead of saying, our computer system is down, we're not sure how long it can take to fix it, you can say, our computer system is down and we are working on a fix and hope to get it back up as soon as possible. Thanks for your patience. Oh my God, so that is way better than just giving the problem or just showing the problem, just splashing the problem all over the place. Okay, now the last one you can do is you can use minimizers. Now, when you encounter a problem in business, you generally want to tone it down. Its seriousness and, and how big it is. It's really important that you learn how to tone it down to avoid, unnecessary alarm while you're working to find a solution. For example, a bank that is, that's about to face bankruptcy or is about to, fall to the ground will not go around, announcing that, we're about to go bankrupt, come and collect your money. We never see that happen. What they do is they tone down, they use PR, they use public relations, management and officers to tone down the problem and ensure the public that they are working on, finding a solution. So that is being diplomatic. So using minimizers or words that have a minimizing effect, like slight, little, few, a little, can make a problem seem smaller and less severe. So remember in diplomatic tone, or when you're using a diplomatic tone, you're not saying the problem does not exist, you're not misinforming anyone. All you are doing is softening your tone so that the problem sounds less alarming or shocking while you find a solution to it. So rather than saying there has been a delay in our shipment, it may take weeks to arrive, you can say there has been a slight delay in our shipment, it may take a little longer to arrive. So little longer versus weeks to arrive. So that makes it sound diplomatic. And then another one is, instead of saying we have problems with the computer, you can say we have some little problems with the computer. Yeah. And so, so you can say we have little problems with our computer. So that softens, the tone, makes the problem sound less alarming, less severe, and all that. So so make sure you incorporate this in your speaking. Make sure you don't sound like a jerk when you're talking to people. It's always good to minimize. It's always good to rephrase. It's always good to use the right choice of words. It's always good to use your passive voice, and also use modal verb. So make sure you incorporate this in your speaking, in your business communication. Make it a pleasure for people to talk to you. If there's a problem in the company, when people come to you, make it, a pleasure for them, because you're pointing them to the solution. You're telling them, okay, everything's going to be fine. We're working on it, and you actually go and work in it, not, to deceive people. Yeah. So that's just basically it. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast to the end. Make sure you follow my podcast on Apple Podcast, on Spotify, on Google Podcast, and also share my podcast with business people around you who really need this. Until episode 13, I will see you. Bye, guys.